Here's how to make Skrapyard bases. I was recently sent the Skrapyard battle mat from Skirmish Mats. Shout out UPS for keeping my package nice and safe and untouched. The image on the mat is extremely crisp, and it has a very satisfying weight to it. Also, it conveniently matches a lot of the minis I've made previously. There is an affiliate link in the description, and you can use the code iPaintSmallThings at checkout for 10% off. Help me help you. Now on to making a matching base. The first step is to take some sort of putty and make a small mound on the base. Then, dip your mini's feet into some water and press it into the putty. This not only allows the feet to get better contact with the base, but it also makes the mini look more grounded and avoids too much floating. I like keeping a big bin of basing bits beside me. This can be anything, from rocks to little wheels I found on Thingiverse. Add the biggest features first. I try not to obscure the mini too much. Then, take off the mini. If your mini has some sort of tactical rock he's standing on, you can just glue them right onto the base. I like to do the mini and the base separate for ease of painting, but you can get the same result either way. Next, take texture paste and cover the base. I try to avoid the footprints if possible. Then, add texture with little rocks and sand. I like to begin with the larger texture and then fill some gaps with the smaller. You don't need to cover the whole base, just little patches here or there will do. The battle mat has a lot of cracked earth on it, so after texturing, take any crackle paste you have and goop it on. Then, add more scrap. Really, anything will do. I'm a big fan of jewelry chain and mesh. This is from an old screen door. I try to vary the amount of scrap on each base. Let all of that fully cure, and you're ready to paint. I first prime with black, and then zenithal highlight with a white ink. Next, base all the sand with sandy colors. I used yellow ochre and buff. I do this pretty quickly, painting yellow ochre in areas that are in shadows or lower down on the base, and buff on raised areas and rocks. Then, paint all the stuff that's not sand. I used metal color copper and steel for all the metal. You really don't have to worry too much about cleanliness. For example, when painting this barrel red, I stippled and didn't worry if I missed parts. It ends up just looking like chipped paint, especially if you go back and stipple with metal colors. I don't have any examples on here. If you put any skulls on the base, don't bother painting them. All the dry brushing and washes will naturally paint them. After all the base coats are done, it's time for a brown wash. I like to do this in batches along with any models I've been working on. I mixed an oil wash because I had other minis that needed it, but Agrak's Earthshade works just the same. The mix is 1 pipette of mineral spirits and a 2:1 ratio of black to brown oil paint. I let all the washed bases dry overnight. Then I dry brushed with model color buff. If you left the mini on the base, you can also dry brush the lower part of their legs to make it look sandy. Next, I added grass tufts. I typically take the minis off of their temporary base. Holding the mini in place helps visualize where grass tufts are needed. You can cut the tufts to create different sizes. Also, if the grass is covering too much, just cut off the ends to make it shorter. This makes all the grass less uniform. Grass tufts are also a great way to hide areas where a mini's feet may not have amazing contact and look floaty. Just make it look like the mini's stepping on it. I've even covered up feet that snap off with grass tufts. Then, add a drop of Agrax Earthshade into the base of the tuft. This creates more depth. Next, mix a little white into your lighter sand color and do a light dry brush, making sure to dry brush any rocks, skulls, or grass tufts. Then paint the rims black, or if you're crazy, some other color, and glue on the mini. I added a little pigment powder with a dry brush to the mini's feet and base. And when I say a little, I really mean a little. You can very easily add way too much. You can play around with different tones of pigment powder. Lastly, I varnished with Winsor & Newton matte varnish to seal in the pigment powder. And that's it. If you're interested in a skirmish mat, check the link below and use code iPaintSmallThings for 10% off. Also, thank you to Gao Dutch and Eric Christensen for buying me some coffees. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed, feel free to like and subscribe. Comment down below with any feedback or suggestions. Alright, bye-bye.